Hi, hello, how are you? Amanda, Seint artist. All right, look at me. Look at me. Here I am with my real life skin. I have imperfect skin. I have had imperfect skin for a long time. I used to get horrible cystic acne on my cheeks. Ever since wearing Seint, that stopped. I still get hormonal breakouts, but I have a lot of old acne scarring. I have melasma spots because I'm in my 40s and things happen. I have dark circles under my eyes. I have discoloration. So can you guess what we're going to talk about today? Color correcting. So Seint makeup is cream-based 3D foundation. It is 80% pigmentation, which means we need very little makeup to get an incredible result. Traditional foundations are 18% pigmentation. If you go get that stick foundation, it's 40%. Seint is 80% pigmentation. So I'm able to color correct a thin layer and it will actually correct the redness. It will actually correct my melasma, rosacea, under eyes. It will correct with very little, very thin layer of makeup, and I'm going to show you how. All my makeup over here is foundational coverage, my contour, my blush, bronzers, all foundational coverage. This right here is my main foundation, but all of these are my foundation. So let's get started, shall we? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep my skin. I use the Milk Hydro Grip. I just do a single pump and I put it all over. I do start on my cheeks, go to my chin, and then I bring it up everywhere else. And that's because my cheeks have always been my problem area. And so I'm just bringing this around, applying it to my face. Now, if you have rosacea, we're going to be able to correct that. If you have all these discoloration issues, my palette is not your palette. And I want to be really clear about this. When you get Seint makeup, this is 100% customized to what you want out of your makeup. If you want tinted moisturizer, this can do that. If you want a light coverage day, say, and not your tinted moisturizer, your one palette will do that. If you are going on a date and you need fuller coverage, that same palette that's your light coverage, that's also your tinted moisturizer, that same palette is that makeup. If you have discoloration and maybe you just have rosacea and you don't need everything else, your palette will have that because it's your palette customized to what your needs are. And that's pretty amazing. So we're going to get started with today's discoloration. It's all of it. I'm going to handle all of it. So if you have one of my problems, this video alone is going to tackle it. So I have discoloration under my eyes. Just get a little bit dark on this inner corner. So I use the color Frenchie. This is a blush color. It's very pretty. Here's another great thing about Seint makeup. You will use 100% of the product that's in your tin. Whereas in a bottle or a stick, you're going to be losing product in the stick itself, in the bottle itself. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to push a little bit on. You can see I have just the tiniest bit. I'm going to focus this on this inner corner here. I'm going to push it up where it gets pink right there, or it's more of like a blue dark color. I'm going to push it and I'm going to pull, and I'm just going to turn this into a light veil. This is highly pigmented, so we need to neutralize this. We are not color covering, we are color correcting. And there's a difference. We're color covering when we're putting our whole foundation on. But when we're spot treating all of our imperfections, that's correcting, that's neutralizing, minimizing. So I'm going to come right here with that pink, bringing it back up to that dark spot right there, and then pulling down. And do you see how that pink just magically takes it away? And I'm not going to add texture. I'm not going to accentuate puffiness, fine lines, wrinkles. I'm not going to accentuate that. Creams don't accentuate that. Powder does. And heavy product. So you want a very light touch, very minimal amount to your under eye. And part of that is correcting a color first, so you're not piling on a heavy amount of product. You can put less on using a color corrector than you can using one color. Okay, I'm going to switch to a brush now. We're going to move on to my redness. If you have rosacea, if you have large pores, you have scarring, this is for you. I'm going to go in with this brush. Now, this is what's nice. See how this brush is nice and white? You're going to see how minimal product I'm going to need to get the result I need. So I'm going to neutralize. I'm going to use the color Aspen. This is a contour color, and it's nice. It's light. It has gray tones to it. It has a touch of green to it, and that's going to neutralize all this redness. Look at all these spots. They look terrible, and I don't want them to show. Can my makeup cover it? Yes, but I am hyper aware of my imperfections, just like all of you. Everyone is hyper aware of all of their imperfections, and so that little touch makes the difference that makes me comfortable with my skin. Now, Seint, when you wear this makeup and you find your color corrector and you find the palette that's perfect for you and you make it happen, this is your filter when you walk out of your door. You like the good filter on your Instagram? Great. This is your filter when you walk out the door. You will walk out with 100% more confidence using Seint makeup. I guarantee it. Okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna use the small end of my blend brush and I'm gonna push, not wipe. We're gonna push in. You see that? I'm just pushing it on and it's just on the tips of the bristles. You see that? Okay. Let's go to this dark one. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna lightly sweep it. You see that? I'm gonna lightly sweep it. I'm gonna talk with my lip and my teeth so you can see how it neutralized it. Do you see that? It just faded the redness away. We can still see the spots. We're not here to cover. We're here to correct and to neutralize redness. I have just neutralized the redness right there. All right, we're gonna push it again. We're just gonna pick this up and I'm gonna go over all this redness right here. And I'm just gonna sweep this with a very light touch over the redness. And do you see how the redness is reduced? We're not adding a layer of makeup. We are putting on a very thin veil that neutralizes the color. I'm gonna come up here onto my little blemishes that I have and I'm just neutralizing this. I'm gonna go right here and I'm just gonna neutralize the redness around my nose. We all get a little bit red right there. Neutralize down. We can still see the imperfections, but the redness is reduced. That's correcting. This is color correcting. See all this redness right here? If you have large pores in this area, you take Aspen and you do the same thing. You just sweep it over them and it'll neutralize those pores so they're not as accentuated when you put your makeup on. Same thing here, pushing into the crease of my nose. I've neutralized redness. You can still, just tapping, you can still see the spots, but the redness is reduced. I get a bit red, just a bit. It doesn't even show on the video. So I'm just taking what's left on the brush and just sweeping it right there. I also have lines right here from my kids of me saying, I don't understand how you don't understand. So I just am able to sweep this over and that'll help reduce the fine line there because this is a dense product. Our contours can be a bit dense, which is why it helps with correcting and holding the makeup on your cheeks and helps neutralize the pores. All right, this is the one a lot of people are waiting for. I have melasma, this guy. The one color, I've tried many colors to try to neutralize this. Bella Bronzer has red undertones to it. And this is what works best for my melasma spot. This is where I get the most coverage for it. So I'm gonna take that blend brush, this nice, pretty white, fluffy end of the brush, and I'm gonna push this onto the brush, okay? Look at that, just on the tips of the bristles. And I am going to tap around that spot, around it. Okay, I'm camouflaging. I'm gonna sweep this up and I'm gonna bring this over here. And all I'm doing over here is creating balance because I applied this dark color here that this is gonna warm things up, it's gonna pull things through, and that's part of the camouflaging. So I'm just going to sweep this up and over, just like that. This is gonna give me some warmth. This is gonna possibly pull through my makeup, and it's just gonna give me a sun-kissed look, and it's gonna neutralize this spot because I've added that color out here. That's all I've done is I'm just neutralizing that spot, bringing it up, just like that. We have color corrected. That's as easy as it is. That's as fast as it can be. And when you're not talking, it goes a lot faster. Okay, let's talk about applying the makeup once you've corrected, because there is a method to the madness of color correcting. Everything here is foundational coverage, okay? So my contour is foundational coverage. And so I'm gonna grab my contour. I'm using the color Olive right here. And again, you will use all of the product you get, but because it's so pigmented, 80% pigmentation is in this versus 18% traditional. But typically when you contour with a powder, there's no pigmentation, there's no foundational coverage, there's no coverage. Instead, it can grab what wasn't covered and pull it through. So this is foundational coverage. So I'm gonna tap this in. I'm using the blush and bronzer brush. I've tapped just a smidgen. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go where we have natural shadowing from our hairline, from the shape of our skull, because we're not one-dimensional. And we're gonna tap this. I'm gonna put some right over here, and I'm gonna put it here, and then I'm just going to sweep this back and forth. I'm going with the lightest touch, and I'm sweeping this over. This is giving me a foundational coverage, evening out my skin tones on my forehead, creating a shadow, and you need such a light touch. Such a light touch. Okay, that's it. That's as easy as this was. All right, I'm gonna go back in to my contour here. I'm gonna use my finger, and I'm gonna contour my nose. So I've put some on. It looks so scary because it's dark. And I'm gonna tap this down the top side of my nose on both sides. So top sides, and I'm gonna leave the middle open. I'm gonna put a little bit right here. I don't need to put it all over. I don't need to bring it anywhere. I'm gonna take this brush. I'm not gonna add anything to it, and I'm gonna tap this up and down, and I'm blending this out. I'm blending this up and bringing it to my brows. And this is going to straighten my nose. I have a little bump here, and this allows me to straighten it. And then I'm gonna bring that up to the brow. Our shadow goes there. And so all we're doing is mimicking a shadow. I'm just gonna tap this on the tip, and that's it. I've blended this all together. That's it. That's as good as I'm gonna get it until I start with my brightening. I'm not done. I'm gonna go back into my contour here. We're gonna do our cheek. So we have natural shadowing here. I'm gonna come above it, and I'm gonna hug that cheekbone. Now, I have bronzer here, I have aspen here. This is how you apply over your color correctors. You're gonna stamp this in, put some on. I'm gonna hold this at an angle, and I'm gonna tap that into my cheekbone. This is gonna give me structure and lift. And I keep it at that angle. I push into that bone above the shadow. And I'm gonna underblend this. It's gonna look dirty and scary, but it's already given me structure and lift over here. Whatever's left on the brush, I'm just gonna push in front of my earlobe and down my jaw. I've just added structure to the back of my jaw, just like that. That's it. All right, we're gonna do the other cheekbone. We're gonna keep it at an angle, and we're stamping. The key to applying your makeup over a corrector is the stipple method. Is just stamping it, stamping it, stamping it, and blending it and blending it. So we're adding a heavy amount because once we add our foundation and our blush and our brightening, this is gonna blend it down, and it's gonna be perfect. If I blended it all the way down now, it would be gone by the time I apply all the rest of the colors. Again, just whatever's left on the brush, pushing in front of that earlobe and down the jaw. And then I'm just gonna come right here. Hide that chin too. We're done contouring, and we're done with the foundation in that area that has the coverage that it needs. I'm gonna go into my brightening highlight now. This is a color that is lighter than my skin tone. So this is Versailles, and it is lighter than my actual skin tone because this is going to give the illusion of reflecting light. It's gonna give me dimension. It's all gonna work out. Trust me, I'm gonna use my finger. I'm gonna push into it. Look at that, it's very light. And I'm gonna put it between my brows, and I'm just gonna stamp this up, and then I'm gonna bring it down the middle of my nose. Just a bit, and then right there. I'm gonna add a little bit to my Cupid's bow. It's a pretty area, and this just highlights that very pretty area right here in the middle of my chin. This is giving reflective light. I'm gonna go under my eyes, and I'm gonna brighten under my eyes. It's gonna give it a youthful look. It's gonna give me coverage. It's gonna give me lift. And I'm gonna start under the trough. If I apply it only to this soft tissue area, it's going to accentuate and make it look like I have a baggy eye. So I'm gonna start under the trough, and I'm gonna come up, and I'm just gonna get it in this little corner here. That's it, under the trough, in this little corner here. Then I'm gonna add a little more, and I'm gonna go right up this way. That's the lift. That's gonna give my eye lift. And that's it. That's the brightening. I'm gonna leave this where it is, and I'm gonna blend this in with my main highlight, okay? We're gonna go into our little blush and bronzer brush. This end right here, we're gonna save to the end. This is what's gonna marry everything together beautifully. This is what's going to pick up excess product in case I put too much on somewhere, which can happen. When I first started using Seint over 2 years ago, I looked like a wedding cake for a week. I tell everybody that, but I did. So I'm gonna go into my main highlight. This is June. This also has some pigment to it that's a green undertone that helps me with my redness because this is customized to my face. We will find colors that work perfectly for you. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna pick some up. I'm just gonna stamp some on. You can see it on the tips of the bristles, okay? We're gonna go between the contours here. And I am just going to go up and down and I'm gonna stipple up, okay? That's all I'm doing, stippling up. I'm moving it to the crease of the nose by stippling because remember we have all that color corrector on. So this is going to keep that color corrector on where I need it and I'm getting coverage and an even skin tone. I'm gonna blend it in to that brightening color right here. I am not worrying about covering any of my discoloration or any pimples, any of that until my makeup is all the way on so I don't over apply my makeup. All right, going right here. I'm in between those contours and I'm gonna stipple up. Just like that, going over that discoloration right there, stipple, 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 going into the crease, and I'm gonna blend it into that brightening, into the brightening, and I'm stippling. I'm just bringing this up. This helps blend down that contour that was super scary, that's still kind of scary. We're just stippling over this. I'm gonna take the fluffy in here and I'm gonna stamp. Again, stamping. We're not wiping, we're stippling. We're stippling. Okay, I'm gonna take that big end again, or smaller end, and I'm just going to stipple this and bring it over because I had put a little bit of aspen there to help cover any redness that I get right there. And I'm blending this up and I'm gonna take the fluffy end here. I'm just gonna wipe back and forth. And this is going to marry that contour and that brightening, and the bridge in the middle makes the perfect foundational coverage. I have a dimensional, fully covered forehead. It's a good looking forehead, right? Okay, now I'm gonna do my nose. I'm just gonna use my finger and I'm gonna tap this in, and this is gonna give a nice structure to my nose. I'm gonna stamp over with the big end and it just marries it together like magic. Okay, I'm gonna do my blush next because I haven't finished my under eyes, but I like to help with my blush, doing my under eyes kind of together. I do this whole area together. But my main foundation is now on. I have a nice even skin tone and I'm good to go. I'm gonna go into my blush color, which is Madrid. It's such a pretty, it's a mix between, it's more of a pink, but it has a peachy undertone and it's so pretty. So I'm gonna take this brush, I'm gonna stamp into it, and I'm gonna pick up you can barely see where there's pink. And we're gonna make this buildable. So I'm gonna come right on top in between my brightening and my contour. And this is foundational coverage. So I'm just gonna stamp that cheek on. I always start at the top and then I smile and I bring it down and I'm stippling this up and down. And it's blending that contour down into a perfect shadow by adding this blush. It's that easy. It's that easy. I'm picking up some of that pink. Same thing over here, staying up high, bringing it down into my cheek. And I'm just going right above that contour and it helps blend it all down. Just like that. That's it. And we'll just take this, stamp, 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 stamp. All right, I'm going to pinch this brush and I'm gonna stamp this into that brightening and I'm gonna bring them together. I'm gonna bring this side in and I'm gonna bring this side in and it's gonna bridge them together, bringing it up, and that's it. That's how easy it is. Okay, same thing over here, just pinching it and I'm stamping this in and up, giving my eye some lift, bringing it down past that trough, stamp, stamp, stamp. And that's how easy it is. And I have gotten all the coverage I want. I have a flawless finish. I have a little guy right here that's still here. Now that my makeup's all the way on, I can take a look and say, okay, what needs attention? And then I can handle that. So I'm gonna go into my main highlight, that June color right here, and I'm gonna grab a little bit on my finger here, just like that, and I'm gonna go over, just like that. I'm gonna grab my vanilla dust. We have if you like a matte finish, our vanilla dust is fine and well pressed and won't add texture. I'm just gonna rub my finger on the powder and I'm gonna set the zit. And that'll keep me good and covered all day. I'm gonna take Charlotte Tilbury because I have oily skin, and that's what I'm gonna use to set my makeup. And that's my face. That's my color correcting. I have tackled melasma, I have tackled redness, I have tackled dark circles under the eyes, and that is what I do every day for my face. My face takes me 15 minutes, and that's if I'm doing my eyes also. So that's color correcting. It's that easy. Message me if you want to try this. This is good stuff. Have a really good day.